welcome back. My name's Brittany, and if you are new to my channel, make sure you hit that subscribe button and put that little bell on so you don't miss a single thing. So today we're going to be focusing on Disney conspiracy theories. Now, as you see, I have my little Mickey Mouse sweatshirt, and we are going to dive right in. So the first one is that Mother Gothel actually is the evil queen. Now, the evil queen is one of the largest Disney villains and is pretty ruthless because she tries to literally kill Snow White because the magic mirror says that Snow White is more beautiful than her. Now, what if the evil queen didn't actually die in Snow White? And instead, she moved away, so she ended up becoming Mother Gothel. Now, this theory is so large because in Tangled, Mother Gothel has a dagger that looks very similar to the dagger and box that the evil queen has in Snow White. There is literally nothing that these two villains care about more than beauty and youth, because Mother Gothel wants to keep Rapunzel so she can remain young forever. And that's essentially why she kidnapped Rapunzel. And the evil queen is insanely jealous of Snow White because she wants to be the fairest in the land. Now, people say that when Mother Gothel returns to her old age in the end of Tangled, that she looks just like the old hag in Snow White. Personally, I don't fully see that, but people do say that they have some features that are very similar. So I'll let you guys decide for yourselves. Now, the next one is that Aladdin takes place in a post-apocalyptic future. Now, the biggest reason for this is because there's a handful of hints that the genie says that leads people to conclude this. Now, when the genie is giving Aladdin a makeover, he makes a comment that Aladdin's fez and best is much too 3rd century. Also, the genie announces that he has been locked up in the lamp for 10,000 years. People say that Aladdin taking place in the future can explain why there's so many magical elements, and that the Cave of Wonders was actually full of advanced technology that people wanted to keep safe from a nuclear war that essentially turned the world into this big empty desert. Now, there is an alternative theory that states that Aladdin takes place in the past because in Beauty and the Beast, Belle is seen reading the book Aladdin. Another theory claims that the entire story of Aladdin was made up by the merchant in the beginning of the movie, simply because he is trying to sell you an old lamp. Now, this makes sense in a way because, you know, when you are... There's a lot of scams in this world, and essentially that's what that would be. Like, he'd be telling you this huge story about the lamp that never happened because he wants to sell the lamp. So I can kind of see that, but I still want to believe that, you know, Aladdin was, you know, like the story of Aladdin happened, so we're going to choose not to think that way. Now, the next one is that Belle and Jane are related. So this is because Belle and Jane both have a very eccentric father, and people say that they're very similar because they both have a thing for wild men and want to tame them, because Belle falls in love with the Beast and Jane falls in love with Tarzan. And the tea set, so Disney is famous for leaving Easter eggs in their movies. The tea set in Tarzan is Chip and Mrs. Potts. But what if it actually is Chip and Mrs. Potts and was actually passed down to Jane? And that Jane is really the great-great-great-granddaughter of Belle. And that would kind of explain why they kind of look alike. Which I can see a little bit of similarities between their faces, but I want to know what you guys think. Now, the next one is that all Pixar movies are in the same universe. Now, according to John Negroni, 14 Pixar movies all exist in the same universe. Toy Story, A Bug's Life, Monsters, Inc., Finding Nemo, The Incredibles, Cars, Ratatouille, WALL-E, Up, and Brave are all included in this theory. Now, the timeline begins with Brave, which is set in the Dark Ages, and it ends with Monsters, Inc., which takes place around the year 4500. The films are seeking to illustrate the connection between humans, animals, and the environment. Now, the next one is that Bing Bong is not dead. Now, Bing Bong is Riley's imaginary friend in the movie Inside Out. Now, Pete Docter, the director of Inside Out, wanted Bing Bong's death to be a total surprise. He wanted that to be like very heart-wrenching because he sacrifices himself in order to save Joy. Now, some people think that he is actually a monster from Monsters, Inc. And because at the end of Monsters, Inc., the monsters learn that the power of laughter is much stronger than the power of fear. So their goal and their job is now to make children laugh. So that would kind of make sense because his whole goal is to make Riley happy, to make Riley laugh. And he has like this animal-like appearance, which a lot of the monsters in Monsters, Inc. has as well. Now, the next one is insanely sad, and it's that Toy Story 3 is an allegory for the Holocaust. Now, I remember learning about the Holocaust in 8th grade, and it is probably one of the hardest, like, emotionally things that I've learned about. It's just so terrible. But the theory goes that Toy Story 3 has a lot of parallels to the Holocaust. So in the movie, the toys are left behind, just as host nations left behind the Jews as the Third Reich conquered Europe. Now, just like Anne Frank, the toys find themselves headed for the attic, but mistakenly wind up in the curb with the trash. Now, they're sent to Sunnyside Daycare, which actually is supposed to represent a concentration camp. The newcomers are bashed and abused in the caterpillar room by non-age appropriate children until they are eventually thrown into the trash chute. So there is this one scene that it's where the toys basically accept their fate and they all kind of hold hands right before they go, as they're heading toward the giant incinerator. At the last minute, the toys are saved by the aliens who would represent the Allies, and in the end, the protagonists relocate to a place where many of their kind already live and have established a foothold. So obviously that is a very tear-jerking, very emotional theory, and so is the next one. So the next one is that Carl from Up actually died in the beginning of the movie. So I remember watching this one for the first time, this movie, and it is an incredible movie, as are all Disney movies. And it's such an emotional movie, and I feel like most people strive to have a relationship like Carl and Ellie. Just the love between them is so pure, it's so strong, and he never gives up hope on their dream because he wants to accomplish that dream for her, which is just amazing. So essentially, the movie Up shows Carl falling in love, growing old, and eventually losing his wife. Now, when he is 78 years old, he decides it is finally time for him to fulfill a lifelong dream. He ties thousands of balloons to his house and flies away to a South American wilderness. Carl finds out that the little boy named Russell is aboard the balloon-powered house. So this theory is, what if none of that is actually real, and that is actually Carl's journey through the afterlife? Now, according to this theory, Carl died in his sleep the night before he was heading to Shady Oaks. This would make Russell his guardian angel. And the ending of the movie, where Carl and Russell return to the city, is supposed to show that Carl finally made it to heaven. Now, the next one is that Boo is the witch from Brave. Now, many people find this theory very hard to believe, but there's no way anyone can deny that some things do make sense. If you have already watched the movie Brave, then you know that the witch can magically disappear and reappear by going through doorways, just as Boo can go through doorways into the monster universe. Brave takes place hundreds of years before Monsters, Inc. does. However, the theory is, what if Boo has the ability to go back in time by walking through doors? And in the witch's workshop in Brave, there is a picture of Sully in there, even though he won't exist for a few more centuries. Now, again, it could just be an Easter egg, because we all know how much Disney likes throwing out their Easter eggs, but it leads you to wonder. So the next one is that Andy's mom is actually Emily, and this one actually makes a lot of sense to me. Now, when Jessie is first introduced to Toy Story 2, people knew her as the cowgirl who had a fear of abandonment because she was left behind. Now, her old owner, Emily, had neglected her for years and then tossed her in a donation bin. Now, it takes a long time, but Jessie learns to trust again, and she is very happy to become Andy's new toy. One very popular fan theory claims that Andy's mom is actually Emily all grown up. So the hat that Andy has is a lot more similar to Jessie's hat than Woody's hat. So it makes you think that maybe, just maybe, it was his mom's. So the next one is that Frozen, Tangled, and The Little Mermaid and Tarzan are all connected to each other. Now, the Little Mermaid portion of this was disproven by Frozen 2, but I'm just going to read it anyways to you guys. So, the theory starts off by stating that Rapunzel and Anna are cousin. Rapunzel is Anna and Elsa's cousin because Rapunzel and Eugene go to Elsa's coronation. So it was once theorized that was actually on their way to Eugene and Rapunzel's wedding when they got into a shipwreck, which we know that that's no longer true if you guys watched Frozen 2. However, so it's said that instead of them dying, they washed up on an island and gave birth to a son named Tarzan. And Tarzan is the brother of Anna and Elsa and the cousin of Rapunzel. Now, obviously, we know a lot of that is not true due to Frozen 2, but it is still an interesting theory that did exist. Now, the next theories that I'm going to talk to you about are newer theories, and they have to do with Frozen 3. Now, if Disney decides to make a trilogy out of the Frozen franchise, which I love. I absolutely love those movies. I actually think I like Frozen 2 better than the first one because it includes all the elementals and stuff, and I think that is absolutely amazing. And I like the songs a little bit more. They have a lot more meaning to, like, me personally. So essentially in Frozen 2, Elsa is the fifth element, which we found was proven to be true because she's the element of spirit. So one of the biggest theories is that Anna actually has powers that she will come into and realize that she has in Frozen 3. Which would kind of make sense because Elsa has powers. So maybe Anna is the opposite, with her powers. And a lot of people are hoping that in Frozen 3, we get more of a backstory of Agner and Iduna's childhood and how they became king and queen of Arendelle. So essentially, the biggest one for Frozen 3 at this current moment is that Anna secretly has powers that she will discover that she has in Frozen 3. So that'll be really interesting to see, and I'd be very surprised if Disney didn't create a third Frozen. But I want to know what you guys think about all of these theories. Again, they are fan theories, they're conspiracy theories. Disney did not confirm or deny any of these. So I'm not saying that any of these are true, but they are interesting. So which one do you guys think is the most likely to be true? Personally, the one that I think makes the most sense is the one that Andy's mom is actually Jesse's owner. Just because of, you know, the hat. And obviously, the toys, Woody's Roundup, actually fit his parents' age. Like, they would have been like his parents' toys. It's obviously a much older show than the time frame that Toy Story takes place in. Which, another fan theory is that Woody was actually Andy's father's toy. But let me think what you guys think about all of these theories. They're so interesting. And if you like this video, please give it a big thumbs up. And if you have not subscribed yet, please hit that subscribe button. It would literally mean the world to me, you guys. And I hope that you have an incredible rest of your day. And I will see you next time.